The international community congratulates Claudia Sheinbaum for her overwhelming triumph. The first woman to occupy the presidency of Mexico is grateful. It's grateful for the messages from several heads of states around the world. In Palestine, 7 civilians who were killed following 2 Israeli attacks on the town of Rafah in the Gaza Strip, while more than 1 million have been forcibly displaced. In Brazil, new rainfalls and strong winds continue to affect the state of Rio Grande do Sul, increasing the water levels of the Guaíba Lake. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll be with the news. Stay with us. In Mexico, the candidate for the Let's Keep Making History coalition, Claudia Sheinbaum, became the first woman to be elected president of the country. In this sense, the president of the National Electoral Institute, Guadalupe Tadei Zavala, detailed the data from early consent Sheinbaum as a winner with around 60.7% of the vote. On the other hand, they also assured the candidate Xochitl Galvez is in the range of 28.6%, and finally, Jorge Alvarez Maínez up to 10.8%. Now let's see some reactions of some head of states that congratulated the Brazilian victory of the new president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum. Through his X account, the president of Brazil, Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva, said, "I am very happy with the victory of Claudia Sheinbaum for being a progressive woman at the head of the presidency of Mexico, a victory for democracy and also for my great companion, Andrés Manuel Obrador, who run an extraordinary government. I plan to travel to Mexico this year to strengthen our business relationships. We are the 2 largest economies in Latin America, and we can have a greater flow between businesses people with both countries." Likewise, Russian Chancellor expressed Vladimir Putin congratulate Claudia Sheinbaum on her victory in the Mexican presidential elections. "We trust that your activity in the presidential office will contribute to the further development of the constructive cooperation between our countries." On the same note, the Prime Minister of Belize, Johnny Briceño, said, "Congratulations to President-elect Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. She is the first female to be elected in Mexico in 214 years of that country's independence. Belize and Mexico share strong ties, and we look forward to continue beneficial relations." In this context, the president of Chile, Gabriel Boric, also said, "Congratulations to Claudia Sheinbaum for becoming the first female president of Mexico. I hope that her leadership and her program of social progress inspire the region and continue to unite us as a broader countries. I hope to all the Mexican people." Likewise, the president of Uruguay, Luis Lacalle Pou, reported, "Congratulations to the elected president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum. I wish you success in your management, and we will work further to further strengthen the ties between our countries." For his part, the Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom, said, "Congratulations, Dr. Claudia Sheinbaum, on your election to serve as the first female president of Mexico. I look forward to working with you for the health for all Mexicans." Likewise, the Intergovernmental Panel in Climate Change brought the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change congratulates former IPCC author Claudia Sheinbaum on being elected as Mexico's first female president. Ms. Sheinbaum was a contributing author and lead author to the working group, 3 contributions to IPCC's 4th and 5th session reports. On Monday, U.S. President Joe Biden also joined governors and political leaders from Latin America and the Caribbean and other regions of the world who expressed their dissatisfaction with Claudia Sheinbaum's electoral victory in Mexico. In this congratulatory message, Biden expressed his desire to work closely with President-elect Sheinbaum in the spirit of collaboration and friendship that reflects the enduring ties between the two countries. Biden also congratulated Mexican people for carrying out a successful democratic electoral process throughout the country, which includes elections for more than 20,000 positions at the local, state, and federal levels. And Mexico's President-elect Claudia Sheinbaum thanked the congratulatory message sent by the head of state of the region following her recent electoral victory. President-elect Sheinbaum was grateful for a message sent by the President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, through the X social network. Thank you very much for congratulations to President Nicolás Maduro. It was a great democratic and participatory day for our people. Sheinbaum also welcomed the congratulations of Brazilian President Luis Ignacio da Silva when she wrote, "I thank President Lula for his call to recognize the triumphs of our movement. Mexico and Brazil are great nations united by a common vision and common values. We affirm our friendship and will to continue building a shared future." Moreover, the President-elect extended her gratitude for receiving complaints from the government of Colombia, adding, "President Petro, thank you very much for your congratulations. We will continue working for a united Latin America, for the well-being and happiness of our people and friendship between our nations. Strong embrace." And in Iran, the electoral schedule for the early presidential elections of next June the 28th is moving forward. During the fourth day of registration, the Iranian Electoral Committee announced the nomination of 20 new candidates, bringing to 37 the number of nominees so far. It should be noted that the process of registration of candidates for the Iranian presidency began last Thursday and will last until Monday, June the 3rd. On Monday, the Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, the new re-elected Speaker of Parliament, entered the race for the presidency of Iran. Ghalibaf, like the rest of candidates, must pass the vetting process of the 12-member Guardian Council, which has a week to review the applications and officially approve their candidacy. In Serbia, President Aleksandar Vučić announced the victory of the Serbian Progressive Party in Bulgarian local elections. During a press conference, the head of state points out that his party won with an absolute majority obtained in 52.7% of the votes. President Vučić stated they also won together with their socialist partners in the city of Novi Sad and Nice.
We have a lot of work ahead of us, a lot of problems. As President of the Republic and friend of all these people, I can say that difficult times are ahead of us, very difficult times, for which we are not to blame nor do we deserve them. As for the foreign political situation, it will be more and more difficult. We will have to preserve our country, preserve peace, but also our freedom.
Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. In Palestine, 7 civilians were killed following 2 Israeli attacks on the town of Rafah in the Gaza Strip, while more than 1 million have been forcibly displaced. According to the local media, 2 separate Israeli fighter jets carried out 2 attacks against the populated region of Khriber al-Das in the north of Rafah and the Saudi neighborhood in the west. During the last 24 hours, Israeli forces have reportedly committed 4 massacres against families in the Gaza Strip, killing 40 Palestinians and injuring 150. Humanitarian organizations warn that malnutrition threatens the life of at least 3,000 children in the Gaza Strip. The United Nations Children's Fund reported that the escalation of Israeli hostilities in Gaza has had a catastrophic toll on children and families. Expanding on the statement, UNICEF informed that thousands of children under the age of 5 suffer from malnutrition, as many of them have nothing to eat even for a full day. And still in Palestine, the Information Office of the Gazan authorities revealed that Israeli occupation forces have dropped a total of 78,000 tons of bombs on the Gaza Strip since the onset of their aggressions in October 2023. According to the briefing released on Monday, 240 days after the beginning of the aggressions, the attacks have reportedly caused $33 billion worth of economic damage in the Gaza Strip. The report also informed that 1,095,000 Gazans suffer from infectious disease as a result of the experiencing constant displacements and poor living conditions. And in Syria, at least 17 people were killed by the Israeli forces in an attack on Sunday night in the city of Aleppo. The Syrian Minister of Defense reported that the attack by the Tel Aviv regime took place from Tanef, an area occupied by Washington support troops, in the direction of several positions and facilities in Damascus. The Syrian authorities also indicate that the bombardment generated several material losses in the territory. In view of the situation, the Syrian Minister of Defense denounced this action as a violation of its sovereignty and international law and urged the United Nations Security Council to comply with putting an end to the Israeli aggressions. The Parliament of Georgia enacted the law of transparency of foreign influence with which it seeks to curb Western interference. Despite the condemnation of the European Union, the United States officials, the law was signed by the President of the Parliament, Shaval Papushvili, after being approved by 84 votes to 4, thus overcoming the presidential veto.
Today, I signed a law aimed at reducing radicalization, polarization, and disinformation in Georgia. At the same time, the radical parties will sign the charter introduced today by the President, which is rightly called a war charter, as it brings together the radical groups that have been pushing Georgia towards war by various means over the past 2 years.
For his part, Georgian Prime Minister Iker Korais stressed that with the approval of the law of transparency, the people of Georgia, its sovereignty and its security had won.
We should not consider the approval of the law on transparency as a victory for the government, nor as a defeat for the opponents of the law. Neither should we consider the approval of the law as a defeat for our international partners, as they often try to present it. With the approval of the law on transparency, only Georgia, its sovereignty and its security have won.
Farmers in Spain and France blockade border crossing between the two countries to demand changes in agricultural policies. The demonstrators indicate that they plan to maintain the blockade until the morning of Tuesday, June the 4th. Demonstrators are demanding from the government of both countries fiscal field law rebates, prioritizing local products, and greater protection against competition for countries outside the European Union. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to join us on our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code to join the red link, share the link to reach more people, constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. When financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. On Sunday in Ecuador, police confirmed that the assassination of National Assembly lawmaker Christian Nieto and his wife Nicole Burgos during an armed attack on the Cyrus in the city of Manta. Police Colonel Fabri Montalvo stated that the attack had been directed against Nieto, who was also a social media influencer and member of the Citizens' Revolution movement. Authorities report that the wife died at a hospital while 2 people were also reported injured. Social organizations have feminist groups in Argentina gathered again 9 years after the first protest of the Ni Una Más movement. The main event took place before the National Congress at 6:30 p.m. local time, where all the groups that had been organized in several parts of the capital met. The women activists accused Javier Milei's administration of violating her rights and of not stopping gender violence. In Cuba, Army General Raúl Castro turned 93-year-old on Monday, and the Cuban people congratulated him while remembering his legacy. On the context of his birthday, Cuban media dedicated several articles to Castro, from biographical stories to news reviews. On the other hand, President Miguel Díaz-Canel did the same on social networks, where he highlighted the revolutionary leader's life as exemplary. The government of Nicaragua congratulated on Monday, June the 3rd, the historic leader of the Cuban Revolution, Raúl Castro, who turns 93-year-old. The message from the Sandinista executive official notes: "We celebrate your life, dear Raúl, dedicated entirely to the Cuban Revolution, its integrity, heroism, and the hard vocation of solidarity with the peoples of the world." The communique, signed by President Daniel Ortega and Vice Minister Rosario Murillo, says that they celebrate Raúl Castro always with Fidel and always beyond. Also referred to the permanent demands of Nicaragua for the cessation of the economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed by the United States on the island for more than 6 decades, and described these regulations as criminals. And now, moving on, in Brazil, new rainfalls and strong winds in the state of Rio Grande do Sul have increased the water levels of the Guavia Lake. The new floods were registered Monday in the city of Porto Alegre after the waters of the lake increased their volume by up to 3 millimeters in 5 hours. On the other hand, against winds of up to 50 kilometers per hour were also reported, causing the waters to move. According to the latest civil defense bulletin, the water tragedy in Rio Grande do Sul has left 172 people dead, 42 missing, and 806 injured. On the other hand, around 2.3 million people have been affected by the storm, and 617,900 have been evacuated. The bulletin reported that some 28,000 homes are still without electricity since the tragedy began on April the 29th. And let's go to the cultural news. Master musicians of Yo-Yoka Group arranged a second Yo-Yoko Festival on June the 7th and the 9th for its night demands on May the 24th and 26th annual festival in a mountain Moroccan village. The group was a successful Yuko tour, though, having opening the Purim stage at the Classroom Festival. Tickets from the second annual festivals were already sold out in a week, as just 50 spaces were available. Two experiences participants of the Yo-Yoko Festival mention a little bit of its history and attractions.
The musicians wanted to keep doing it, so we've done it every year since then, except for the COVID year 2020, and it's grown a great reputation, but it's a very small festival, and we limit it to this size because we want it to be authentic. It's not so exclusive, the price isn't so exclusive, but it's just we limit it to a certain number, and that makes everyone have an experience that's very special. They live with the musicians for a few days, and they see the life of the mountain and experience the music in a way that most people never will.
We have come to the end of this brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.